Hello there, boxing fans. Thank you for joining me once again on Boxing News Today here on Talk and Fight. And today we're going to talk about some things that have hit the headlines of late, and in particular, some words that have bothered me for a while, with respect to, quite frankly, injuries suffered in the ring, and perhaps people who should retire. I've said it before earlier this week. I'll say it again, and I've said it for several years now. You know, boxing, it's a tough sport, and you get hit in the head a lot. And too many blows to the noggin are going to do damage. And that damage can have dire consequences as you age. So, although there is realistically various people who will be perceived as gateholders or people who in their professional careers would advise a boxer to stop, uh, realistically, it's the guys who've made a lot of money who worry me. Um, a long time ago, I was in the music industry and I had a chance to interview the Rolling Stones, who had made cajillions of dollars. But was it time to retire? And I asked them because they had just discovered Vernon Reid and a band called Living Color, and I thought they'd done a great job in discovering the talents of that band, helping to promote that particular album that came out in the 80s sometime. But the point is, I asked the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, hey, isn't it time to retire? Start putting your money into these other bands. No, they said. We have a right to be atop those charts, and therefore we'll continue to put out new albums. So, realistically, the albums they put out since have been just awful. But the reality of it is this is the same mindset that I see in boxers, especially those at the top of their game or perceived at the top of their game, held at the top by the rankings issued by the various organizations that I mentioned the other day. So let's get into today's stories that are making the headlines. Among them, one that captured my attention in particular for a word it used in the headline: batters. Jukumbayev batters Redkach. Now, fair enough. There's nothing wrong with a good battering, in my opinion. That's what makes boxing a great sport. But this is going to be a running theme throughout this particular show. In that lightweight, super lightweight division, WBA's number 12, Batirjan Jukumbayev, he's 23-1, scored a fifth round technical knockout over 38-year-old veteran Ivan Redkach. He's now 24-6, I believe. Maybe one draw in there. 19 knockouts, though. So not a bad fighter in his day, but he's getting close to 40. Okay. This all took place down at Plant City, Florida, part of Pro Box television events. And, no doubt a good fight, but it was, that one-sided round. And the referee had to step in and stop the fight. So anyway, the point of the matter is Redkach, he's getting old. He's had a good career. Maybe it's time to hang up the gloves. Maybe open a gym and teach some new young fighters some great tricks that you've learned along the way, buddy. In another battle that night, junior lightweight Jonathan Cardoso, 17-1, by the way, 15 knockouts, scored a 10-round split decision over Adam Balloonose Lopez, 17-6, with 6 knockouts of his own. So again, Jonathan Cardoso taking that victory. So good stuff. Not complaining about the good stuff. I am going to mention, though, continuously throughout this episode, age, experience, money, but potentially the team that surrounds you. Are they urging you to continue? Remember, I had mentioned years ago Deontay Wilder. I believe he had suffered a concussion when he fought Tyson Fury, and I believed he should hang up the gloves. He had made his $80 million. He had made enough money to pay the hospital bills for his daughter. I thought he should hang up the gloves. And again, we've seen a heavyweight on the decline, quite frankly. He's not going to win any more big battles. Let's have a quick look here at another champ who's had to pull out due to injury. WBC cruiserweight champ Noel Mikaelian, he's 27-2, who was about to fight that Canadian champ Ryan the Bruiser Rozicki, but unfortunately Mikaelian's had to pull out, and it was a world title defense, by the way, due to a cut near his eye, which means he got clobbered in the head pretty hard during his sparring sessions. And although suffering the cut while preparing for his June 7th showdown, and he is disappointed, Mikaelian said he will be ready for Don King's next monumental fight card to return to the ring. And he did apologize to the fans and the boxing community, but he said, I'll be ready to return to action and defend my world title in time for Don King's next massive event. Don King said, this is why we have so many title fights on the card. On June 7th, Fists of Fury will still have multiple titles on the line for boxing fans, and Mikaelian will be back to defend his title as soon as possible. On that fight, you might recall, I mentioned the other day, you've got Adrian Broner going up against Blair Cobbs. A decent fight, no doubt. Speaking of fights that the British fans are looking forward to, upcoming, we have Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall going at it again, finally. They had a pretty good scrap a couple of years ago. Then their rematch had been delayed for a few reasons here and there. Nonetheless, taking place shortly at the First Direct Arena, being shown on DAZN. You got these two guys going at it. Josh Taylor said, we're finally here. It's been a long time coming. I'm looking forward to it now. Had a lot of stick, but I've never taken it personal. I will be taking it out on Jack on Saturday night. It's just another boxing match. Forget the last fight. Forget everything else that's gone on. This is a completely new fight. New fight, new circumstances, no belt on the line. Yes, there's some beef, but there's listen, he says. I'm a consummate professional, and I'm enjoying fight week. I can't wait to get in there on Saturday. So he's not talking about dancing. He's talking about fighting. Anyway, the point matter is this. Jack Catterall responds, we saw each other last night at the first face-off, and there wasn't a word spoken from him. We'll see. It might change as he's making weight, and I'm making weight at the weigh-in on Friday, but right now, he's not got much to say. I think we're both focused on the job. For me, it's personal with Josh. It's a fight that I believe I won. He's talking about the first fight. I'm excited to put that right. I still have goals and aspirations of becoming a world champion, but one step at a time. We've got a big fight on Saturday, and that's all I'm focused on. And you can believe that he's not going to want to leave it in the hands of the judges. Speaking of big clashes, I see that a couple of Brits are going to go toe-to-toe. London heavyweights Joe Joyce and Derek Chisora will headline at the O2 on July 27th. And the Juggernaut will be confronted by War live on TNT Sports, by the way. It is a domestic collision that appears to have been on the table for some time, with Joyce having been calling out the name of the veteran formerly known as Del Boy since 2019. Joyce is now, he's 16-2, 15 knockouts, coming off a knockout win against Kash Ali, following back-to-back WBA interim title losses against Yai Zhang. Two-time world title challenger Chisora, 34-13, who, by the way, was in the headlines the other day with respect to his opinions on Tyson Fury, and the should-have-been stoppage victory by Alexander Usyk, rebounded from his stoppage defeat to Tyson Fury in late 2022 with a decision victory over Gerald Washington. So those two are going toe-to-toe July 27th over in London. Let's move along to Lawrence Okolie, another British fighter. He's over in Poland right now. He's 19-1, and he's looking for a knockout. He's going for the head of Lukasz Rozanski. He's undefeated, 15-0, by the way, 14 knockouts of his own. So Lawrence Okolie will be challenging him for his WBC Bridgerweight title. and that's going to be shown on Sky Sports from Poland. Now, the commentator here, Robbie Bannatyne over on BoxingNews24.com, says the kind of fight where Okolie, 31 years of age, has no choice but to go all out for knockout because his chances of going 12 rounds against a relentless puncher like Rozanski are slim. The Polish fighter Rozanski punches too hard and never stops attacking for a second to allow the 6'5" Okolie to concentrate on trying to use his boxing skills. Hopefully for Okolie's sake, he's made changes to his game and isn't going to be using constant holding to try and nullify Rozanski's offense, because that's not going to work against this guy. Rozanski continues to punch when held by his opponents, and there's a lot of power in close. Okolie was twice penalized for holding his loss to Chris Billum-Smith last May, and if he chooses to take that approach to this fight, we could see something similar happen on Friday night. Okolie has to learn from his mistakes in fights to weed out that part of his game that's been resistant to change. One of the reasons Okolie has failed to become a more popular fighter worldwide is his bad habit of holding. It's unclear if he can fight without excessive clinching, but he must try against Rozanski. And this is what Okolie said. People like knockouts, and I expect to get one in this fight. So tune in and watch a Brit become world champion. He said and concluded, I've been a very explosive puncher and a very dynamic fighter for the majority of my career. I've won everything there is to win at cruiserweight. Now I'm going up to the gears. I want to do it viciously. Are you capturing these words that are being used by these boxers? These boxers not taking their sport and lightly. They're taking it quite seriously. Let's have a quick look at something else that's come to light. I might have mentioned earlier. Tyson Fury has said he's not going to box into his late 50s like Mike Tyson. Okay. He's coming off, as we all know, his first loss of his career. That undisputed heavyweight championship that won't be undisputed for too long. And the defeat cost Fury becoming the first undisputed champion since Lennox Lewis in 1999. And he was almost stopped, as we all know, in round number 9, after Usyk landed a massive left hand followed by a flurry of combinations. And Fury would have been stopped if it had not been for the referee's standing 8 count. In his post-fight comments, most importantly, there was a perception that Fury had been heavily concussed. He wished everyone a happy new year, despite it only being May. While he has indicated his desire to take the rematch, the boxer must think things carefully. He's 35 years old and amassed great generational wealth. Reports indicates he earned over $100 million for that Usyk fight. Let's say he even had to give away 50% to his managers, trainers, promoters, whoever his team is. He's still got $50 million in the bank. Let's say he gets taxed 30%, He's still got, 30 odd million in the bank. Okay. The guy's rich. All right. He's won every title in the heavyweight division. While he may not have become undisputed, the rematch may not be off the belts anyway. The IBF are still likely going to call it mandatory, meaning Usyk must vacate or be stripped due to the Fury rematch. Anyway, as for Mike Tyson, he did become undisputed heavyweight champ. He secured a win over Tony Tucker in 1987 to win all the belts. He had not had a professional fight since 2005, losing to Kevin McBride. Tyson's boxed since then, facing Roy Jones Jr. in an exhibition, and he'll take on Jake Paul, as we all know and we're all looking forward to, in a professional boxing fight. And they're going to box in an 8-round bout, fighting in 2-minute rounds, however, wearing 14-ounce gloves. Okay. There are safety concerns over the fight, as Tyson will enter the ring as a 58-year-old. Paul will be considerably younger at 28 and is also the more active of the two fighters. Fury also faces questions himself about whether he should take the Usyk rematch, especially following the damage he received in the 3 Deontay Wilder fights. The Gypsy King addressed some concerns over his longevity, saying he will not box into his 50s. He said, I can't see myself hanging around for the next 5 years, never mind 20 years. I've given a lot to this game. I gave all my youth, all my teenage years, all my young adult life, I've got to have some time to be me, really. All the things I've done and all the accolades and all the money I've earned, I've got to have time to enjoy it. It's only a short life, isn't it? We're here today, gone tomorrow, said Tyson Fury. So I give him credit for saying that. He's thinking about it, obviously. I mentioned it the other day. I think both he and Alexander Usyk should retire, help unclog that heavyweight division, get on with their lives. They're both wealthy enough. They can open up gyms. They can open up a franchise, brand name gym. They can manage young fighters, men and women who are eager to learn from these fellows' successes, right? After all, think about it. Tyson Fury is a father of 7 children, and he was quite vocal about having to be away from his family to prepare for that Usyk fight, And there are also suggestions that Fury's wife, Paris, wanted him to retire after the third Deontay Wilder fight. And Fury did announce his retirement after stopping Dillian White, but that was short-lived as he returned to take the fights with both Derek Chisora, Francis Ngannou, and Usyk. But with money not being an issue, Fury must decide whether fighting is for him. So let's reflect back. Let's take a bit of a history lesson here, okay? According to boxingscene.com, they've got an excellent article online. Let's just read the top few paragraphs here. In October 1975, the world watched in awe as Muhammad Ali, then 33, and Joe Frazier, 31, summoned the last of their peaks to beat each other silly for 14 brutal rounds. Although it remains one of the greatest contests of all time, it's hard to truly enjoy today. We know that Ali fought for another 6 years, and we know what those 6 years combined with the 15 that came before them ultimately did to him. We know, too, that Frazier's scars, not helped by the 2 subsequent contests he endured, never really healed. Legends both for what they sacrificed inside the ring, but what was the real reward for their efforts? The notion that the boxing afterlife was kind to them is a falsehood. Neither would have wanted, much less expected, to be figures of pity in their final years. Yet it's impossible to deny that is what they would have ultimately become. One could argue that Ali Frazier 3 was the contest that both defined the 1970s heavyweight era and what marked the beginning of its end, simply because the 2 greatest big men of that decade showcased their bewildering courage to such an extent things could never be the same again. Great stuff. Enjoyed that article a lot. I highly recommend you visit boxingscene.com and dig up that article. Why this perfect as an opportunity for Alexander and Tyson Fury to lay down their gloves, hang up their gloves, say, thanks very much, enjoyed it, made some money, now I'm on to live my life. That's what they should do. All right. Speaking of a heavyweight who we all know and appreciate, Evander Holyfield is making the headlines. He's warned former opponent Mike Tyson that he could lose to Jake Paul if he doesn't keep his distance. Tyson faces the much younger Paul, as I mentioned earlier, on July 20th in Texas. And when the first bell goes, he'll be 58 years of age. That age gap will be crucial, as Holyfield knows Tyson won't be able to allow Paul to get up close. Holyfield, who defeated Tyson twice, one of which was the infamous bite fight, says Paul has a great chance of winning. He said, I don't know how much confidence Jake Paul has, but he will be a lot quicker. If he stays close to Mike, then his chances of winning are going to be great. But if he stays back from Mike, then he's going to get caught. Mike is like a snake. He'll pop out on you. But if you can charge him, you can smother him because he pushes off his legs because it's too close. If you give him room, you're going to get messed up. So Paul, unbelievably, is currently the favorite to win, mainly due to being 27 years and in the prime of his fitness. It's no secret they can throw a punch, leading to fears Tyson will be unable to defend himself due to his frailties. The real deal Holyfield knows only too well about returning to the ring in his late 50s. Vitor Belfort blasted him out in 109 seconds. Wow. and Holyfield barely got off a punch in their 2021 pay-per-view encounter. It's conceivable the same could happen to Iron Mike, who has the one thing you cannot work on going against him: punch resistance. Once Paul lands flush, it's hard to fathom how Tyson will be able to take a blow of that significance after years unresting his brain out of the ring. Just words to keep in mind as we head into the next series of big fights that are on their way. I just thought I'd bring those few words of wisdom to your attention, keeping in mind you don't play boxing. And these guys who are getting on in age should rethink their position and think about their future, not only on behalf of their families, but on behalf of boxing in general, and put their money where their mouths are and support the younger generation up and coming. All right, boxing fans, thanks for joining me once again. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell for me, and we'll see you later on talkinfight.com. No, there's no more stories. Didn't miss anything. We'll see you anon.